The Silverwood Heritage Estate had always been my sister Elena Carter's dream wedding venue. Ever since we were kids, she clipped photos from luxury bridal magazines, circling this exact estate in red ink like it was destiny itself. "This is where successful people get married," she used to say, even at 11 years old, already fluent in our mother's quiet cruelty. Now I was 29, standing in the marble entrance hall of that same estate, watching Elena glide across imported stone floors as if the place belonged to her. It didn't. But she had no idea who it actually belonged to. "They're giving me the entire property for my wedding," she announced proudly to our family, our parents Richard and Margaret Carter, Aunt Helena, and cousins Noah and Claire. "The gardens, the ballroom, even the private wine cellar." "You deserve perfection," Margaret said, tilting Elena's diamond ring so it caught the chandelier light. "You've worked so hard." Elena was a regional sales manager at a pharmaceutical firm. Respectable. Bragworthy. The kind of job our parents loved mentioning at their country club. The kind of income that almost paid for a place like Silverwood. Almost. I knew the real numbers. I reviewed them during my last quarterly audit. $45,000 for a weekend. Catering minimums not included. "And what about you, Lena?" Aunt Helena asked, her smile thin. "When will you finally settle down?" "I'm not engaged," I replied calmly. Elena laughed. "You're almost 30. Different timelines," I said. "Different ambitions," my father muttered without looking up from his phone. That was always the story. Elena was the star. I was the practical one. The quiet one. The one they assumed had settled for less. "The catering alone is going to cost $18,000, Elena Carter said, scrolling through her phone with satisfaction. "But Noah said he'd help cover some of it, didn't you?" Noah shifted uncomfortably but nodded. He ran a moderately successful real estate firm and had long been the family's unofficial safety net. Whenever money came up, eyes turned toward him. "Family helps family," he said, forcing a smile. "Some family," Elena corrected, her gaze sliding toward me. "The ones who actually contribute something meaningful." I kept my face neutral. I learned years ago that reacting only gave them what they wanted. Silence made them underestimate me, and underestimation had its advantages. "Lena," my mother Margaret said thoughtfully, "maybe you could help with the wedding favors. Something simple. Within your budget." "I can do that," I replied calmly. "Perfect," Elena clapped her hands. "I was thinking custom French soaps from that boutique downtown. They're only $40 each, and I'll need about 200. I did the math instantly. "That's $8,000. Elena sighed dramatically. "Of course it is. I should have known better than to ask. You probably shop at discount stores, don't you?" "Sometimes," I said honestly. "How sad," Aunt Helena murmured under her breath. Before I could respond, a young woman approached us, holding an iPad with practiced confidence. "Good afternoon," she said politely. "I'm Grace, the venue coordinator. I just need to confirm a few details regarding your booking." I recognized her immediately. She'd been working at the estate for several years now, ever since the property became part of a much larger portfolio. "My portfolio?" "Yes, of course," Elena said, her voice instantly sweet. "I want everything to be absolutely perfect." Grace nodded. "You've selected the rose garden for the ceremony, correct? With the white arbor?" "Yes." "Is that still available?" "It is," Grace replied. "Though I should mention there is another wedding the day before yours, so setup will need to begin early Saturday morning." How early? Elena asked sharply. Around 6 a.m. We'll keep noise to a minimum. Elena's smile tightened. That's unacceptable. I'm paying a premium for this venue. I expect better service. I watched Grace's professional expression falter for just a fraction of a second. I understand your concern, Grace said carefully. Let me see what we can, don't see what you can do, Elena snapped. Just make it happen. That's literally your job. Elena, I said quietly, she's trying to help. My sister turned on me, her eyes cold. When have you ever managed anything more complicated than cleaning apartments? This is a real event, Lena. A place someone like you could never afford. The words landed exactly where she intended. And my family watched in silence. The air in the marble foyer shifted after Elena's words, thick with quiet approval. No one defended me. No one corrected her. My mother stepped forward, resting a gentle hand on Elena's arm, not to stop her, but to support her. Know your place, dear, Margaret said softly, her tone calm but sharp. There's nothing wrong with having a smaller wedding at a more appropriate venue when your time comes. I nodded once. I had learned long ago that pushing back only made them push harder. Silence kept the peace, even if it cost me my dignity. Grace stood there awkwardly, clutching her iPad, clearly wishing she could disappear. Elena turned back to her as if nothing had happened. Now, Elena said briskly, about the rehearsal dinner. I want full access to the East Wing as well. Grace hesitated. The East Wing is typically reserved unless approved by who? Elena snapped. I'm the bride. I'm paying. Grace inhaled slowly. I'll need to check with ownership. Elena scoffed. Ownership. Please. Whoever owns this place should be grateful someone like me is hosting a wedding here. That was the moment. The exact moment she crossed from arrogance into humiliation. Grace turned slightly toward me. Ma'am, she said politely, where would you like the security deposit invoice sent? Elena frowned. Why are you asking her? Grace blinked, confusion flashing across her face. I assumed you were aware. Standard procedure requires approval from ownership when immediate family books the estate. The foyer went completely still. I'm sorry, Elena said slowly. What did you just say? Grace's eyes widened. She glanced at me, then back at Elena. Your sister owns the Silverwood Heritage Estate. She has for the past 3 years. Silence crashed down like a dropped chandelier. That's ridiculous, Elena laughed weakly. Lena barely works property management. She rents apartments. I don't work at one, I said quietly. I own one. My father's phone slipped from his hand and hit the marble floor. Elena, I continued evenly, I'm the sole owner of Northcrest Holdings. We manage 46 properties across the state. This estate is one of them. Grace recovered quickly, tapping her screen. Yes, ma'am. Lena Carter, principal owner of Silverwood Heritage Estate, acquired in 2021. My mother's face drained of color. My father whispered, You own this place. Yes, I said. And I've been standing here listening to you tell me I don't belong in it. Elena sank into one of the antique chairs, her perfect posture finally breaking. For the first time in my life, they weren't looking down at me. They were looking up. For a long moment, no one spoke. The grand foyer, once full of entitlement and judgment, felt unbearably small. My sister Elena stared at me as if I were a stranger wearing my face. You're lying, she finally whispered. You have to be. You don't just own places like this. The deed is public record, I replied calmly. I purchased Silverwood Heritage Estate in late 2021 for $2.4 million. My father swallowed hard. That's impossible. It appreciated quickly, I continued. Current valuation is just over $3.1 million. Grace nodded, holding up her tablet. That matches our records, sir. My mother shook her head slowly. Then why didn't we know? Why didn't you ever say anything? I met her eyes. Because you never asked. Elena's voice trembled. So when I booked this venue, you submitted a request like any other client, I said. Your date was approved automatically. I saw your name on the calendar and chose not to interfere. You let me plan my wedding here, she said, almost accusing, without telling me it was yours. You seemed happy, I replied. I didn't want to ruin that. My cousin Noah had pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. Northcrest Holdings, he read aloud. Privately held real estate investment and management firm, portfolio value estimated at $48 million. My aunt gasped. 48 million. Approximately, I said. Market fluctuates. My father's voice came out hoarse. How much of that is liquid? About 8 million in operating reserves. Elena pressed her hands against her temples. This doesn't make sense. You always said you were just managing rentals. I was, I said. My own. Grace cleared her throat delicately. Ma'am, regarding the wedding deposit, should I process it under standard terms? Yes, I said. Apply the family discount. Family discount, my mother echoed faintly. 20%, I explained. It's written into company policy. Elena looked at me, stunned. You'd give me a discount, after everything I said. If you'd asked, I replied gently, you'd have had it from the start. That was when the truth finally settled in, not just the money, not just the ownership, but what it meant. They hadn't just underestimated me. They'd been wrong. Completely. And now there was no way to unsee it. The silence that followed was different now. It wasn't smug or dismissive. It was afraid. My Aunt Helena was the first to break it, her voice tight. The Oak Ridge Country Club, our membership renewal is next month. Yes, I said calmly. It is. She swallowed. And you own that too. I do. So you could just cancel our membership, she asked carefully. I tilted my head, considering. Only with cause. Violations of club policy. Harassment of staff. Disrespectful behavior. The implication hung in the air, heavy and unavoidable. For years, my family had treated service workers as invisible. And now, one of their families owned the places they loved. My father cleared his throat, his tone changing for the first time in my life. Lena, sweetheart. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Has there? I asked mildly. My mother stepped forward, hands clasped. We never meant to make you feel unsuccessful. We are proud of you. I'm sure you are, I said. Now. Elena stood abruptly. So what is this? Revenge. You let us embarrass ourselves. No, I replied evenly. You did that on your own. I just stopped protecting you from the truth. Her voice cracked. How could you afford all this? Where did the money come from? I started 7 years ago, I said. One small commercial property. I renovated it, rented it, reinvested the profits. Over and over again. I took calculated risks. I worked quietly. 7 years, my cousin Claire murmured. And you never say anything. Every family dinner, I said, I heard who I was supposed to be. It was easier to let you believe it. Noah looked up from his phone again. It says here Northcrest Holdings just closed on the Westbridge Inn. We did, I confirmed. This morning. That property's worth at least 12 million. 11.8, I corrected. Elena sank back into the chair. So while I was mocking you, you were building all this. Yes. Tears filled her eyes. Then why are you still helping me? Why not cancel my wedding booking? Because you're my sister, I said simply. And because this venue was always your dream. The words broke something in her. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Probably not, I agreed. But I'm giving it anyway. For the first time, they saw it clearly. I hadn't won by humiliating them. I'd won by outgrowing them. Elena wiped her eyes, her makeup slightly smudged now, the perfect image finally cracked. This was supposed to be my day, she said softly. My wedding. And now all I can think about is how badly I treated you. I didn't respond right away. Some apologies needed space before they meant anything. My father finally spoke, his voice careful, almost unfamiliar. Lena, we owe you an apology. Several, actually. Yes, I said quietly. You do. My mother flinched, then nodded. We made assumptions. We thought we knew what success looked like, and we judged you by that. You made me feel invisible, I replied. Like nothing I did mattered because it didn't look impressive to you. Elena stood again, stepping closer. I was cruel. I know I was. I've always compared myself to you in my own way. I just never thought you were playing the same game. I wasn't, I said. I was playing my own. Silence followed, heavy but honest. So what happens now? My cousin Claire asked gently. Do we just pretend none of this happened? No, I said. We acknowledge it happened, and then we decide whether we move forward differently or not at all. My phone buzzed in my hand. A message from Evan Brooks, my business partner and CFO. Evan, media's already circling the Westbridge deal. Forbes is asking about a feature, real estate leaders under 40. I slipped the phone back into my pocket. You're texting about business? My mother asked, incredulous. The company doesn't pause, I said. Even for family confrontations. Elena let out a shaky laugh. That's very you. Grace reappeared quietly. Miss Carter, the contracts are ready when you are. And I'll need both signatures, for the client and for ownership approval. Both of us? Elena asked. Grace nodded. Yes, ma'am. Elena looked at me then, really looked at me. Which one of us signs first? You, I said. It's your wedding. She nodded slowly, then added, and thank you. For not taking this away from me. I never wanted to, I said. I just wanted you to see me. She swallowed. I do now. As we followed Grace toward the office overlooking the rose garden, I felt something shift, not satisfaction, not victory, but clarity. They finally knew who I was. The question now was whether they could live with it. The contracts took less than 20 minutes to finalize. Grace explained the terms with practice ease, Full access to the estate from Friday evening through Sunday morning, preferred vendors, and a structured payment schedule. With the 20% family discount applied, the total came in far lower than the original estimate. Elena winced when she saw the number, then nodded. I can manage it. I know you can, I said gently. You've been saving for years. You mentioned it last Christmas. She looked up, surprised. You remember that? I remember most things, I said. You're my sister. Something in her expression softened. For the first time that day, there was no competition in her eyes, only understanding. When we returned to the foyer, the rest of the family was still standing there, unsure, humbled, waiting. It's done, Elena announced. I'm having my wedding here. My parents exchanged glances. Lena, my father said carefully, we really do owe you an apology. Yes, I replied. But apologies only matter if things change. They nodded. Slowly. Honestly. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Evan calling. I stepped aside. What's up? The Westbridge acquisition is getting attention, he said. Architectural Digest wants a feature. Forbes is pushing for an interview, under 40, self-made. I glanced back at my family. They were watching me now, not with judgment, not with dismissal, but with something close to awe. Tell Forbes yes, I said. Low-key. Focus on the business model. Evan laughed. Low-key might be difficult. We'll make it work, I said. We always do. I ended the call and returned just as Elena approached me. I'll call you later, she said quietly. And thank you. For not canceling. For everything. Better late than never, I replied. She smiled, small but real. As my family filed out of the estate, Grace stayed behind. For what it's worth, she said, you handled that with a lot of grace. It needed to happen, I said. She nodded. We have another couple arriving soon. They specifically requested to meet the owner. I checked the time. I had another call later, but enough space. I'll stay, I said. When I finally sat down by the tall windows overlooking the rose garden, the white arbor stood ready in the afternoon light. Elegant. Timeless. The same place I'd been told, for years, I would never belong. My phone lit up one last time. A message from my mother. I let it go to voicemail. Some truths need time. Some silence needs space. For now, I had a business to run, a future to build, and a life that no longer required anyone's approval. They had underestimated me for 29 years. Their mistake. Not mine.